but if this jumps out on the front page of the USA Today here, VA bosses falsified veterans' wait times. I know that you're involved in a lot of different veterans issues. What do you think about this?
I think it's a disgrace. At the very, very least, just be honest with us. If we have a problem, let's fix it. Let's not try to hide it. And so conduct like that is disgraceful.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of it's coming out in some of the areas that we didn't think it was there before. Of course, we had the Phoenix issue, but we're going to find out more from our guys that, it's a weird thing. Luckily, they're not here live in studio. We're actually at a Veterans Breakfast live today, so they can't have all their information in front of them because they know they'll be hot today. Hey, let's talk about other things that are hot also around here and bring up a lot of discussion, and that is the steel industry crisis. And what are you calling on President Obama to do about it?
Well, I'm calling on President Obama to end the unfair import system that we have, where other countries are dumping their steel into the United States that have used us as a place as their economies have gotten weaker. They then turn around and just dump it over here below cost, which is incredibly unfair, is against the whole economic system that's been set up. My fight is for Indiana jobs, for American jobs, for region jobs. And you know what? In a fair trade system, hey, if we can't compete when everything is the same, so be it. But this is other countries cheating, and I'm going to stand up for our companies and our people every time.
Senator, just in the beginning when we started talking about the trade practices and, how it's affecting the steel industry, sometimes you start talking about a topic and you're like, well, there's not that much interest. I got to say, in the last couple of months, there's way more interest about what this steel dumping is doing to the local area. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, I've been fighting this for years, but people are really tuning in and are outraged by it. What you've seen is things like, Jim, where they manipulate their currencies. In effect, something that a roll of steel that should be selling for $400 or $450, they're dumping it in at $350 and are doing it by making their currency worth less. The other thing they're doing is just simply selling it at below their cost of production. So it's like making Chevy Camaros for $20,000 and selling them for $15,000 just to keep people busy. Well, we have an obligation in this country to make sure that we stand up for our own. We stand up for our workers. We stand up for Hoosiers. And that's what I've been doing. I've worked very closely with Pete Vitplosky on this issue. We've gone after these countries in the International Trade Court. We've gone after them in every way possible. And we think we're starting to see some progress, but we've got a long way to go.
Speaking of a long way to go, you went to the Middle East recently. How'd you like it?
Well, I was there to make sure that we're making progress against ISIS because our goal was to wipe them out. I wanted to make sure we were there making progress against ISIS, and the other part was to check our missile defense systems in our friends' countries that are near Iran, because Iran is a dangerous, dangerous country. And so I sat with Prime Minister Netanyahu in Israel. We reviewed all of the missile defense systems that are in place. They have a very strong blanket, in effect, covering the country. We want to make sure that they have what they need. In Iraq, I met with our service members. I met with the Iraqi tribal leaders in the different parts of Iraq to make sure that we're taking the fight to ISIS. And the fight is not by our men and women. It's not by Hoosiers from Maryville or Cherville. It's by Iraqis. And what we're doing is helping to train them, provide logistics, in effect putting the battle plan together for them, which makes them about 10 times more effective. And so we've seen ISIS is being pushed out of town after town, and we're looking to wipe them out.
You went with Jeff Sessions across the aisle from Alabama, Democrat and Republican. You both sat down with Netanyahu. Outside of the technical aspects of checking on the viability of the missile defense system, what kind of vibe did you get from the Prime Minister about the relationship with the United States?
Well, with the Prime Minister, he said right off the top, he said, look, we may not always agree with each other on everything, but we have no closer friend than the United States. And on the United States part, we have no closer friend than Israel. And so the relationship is very strong. There are bumpy spots like in any relationship between the president and between Prime Minister Netanyahu. I can tell you that the military-to-military relationship has never been stronger. We've never worked more closely together. We share intelligence, we share technologies, and so it is certainly in our interest, even in our interest, have a strong Israel. But we also, being such close friends, have an obligation to make sure our friends are protected. And so we see this relationship continuing to grow and stay stronger.
So I'm looking at part of your itinerary. By the way, I don't know how you keep that schedule up. Israel, UAE, Bahrain, Iraq, Spain. What were you bringing back from the troops? I know that you met a number of Hoosiers who are serving. What's the morale like right now?
Well, the morale is off the charts good. One of the folks I met, I was also out in the Persian Gulf on our aircraft carrier, the Harry Truman, and I met a young girl from Gary who had graduated from high school just a couple of years ago. I had lunch with her and about 10 other Hoosiers, and she works in the post office on the aircraft carrier because they have 5,000 people on the aircraft carrier. And I told her, I said, your job is critically important because if you don't do your job, you have people on the ship who don't see pictures of their kids, who don't get letters from home. And I said, the American people, all of us back home, everyone in the region is incredibly proud of you. And she said, well, thank you. This is like a dream come true. And I said, are you busy? She goes, oh, my gosh. She goes, every time I look up, they're bringing in another bag of mail.
All right, so Senator gets back from the Middle East. And anything else you wanted to hit?
Just how lucky I am to be the senator from our region. The fact that we're gonna work nonstop, and like I said, Pete Viskowski and I, it's pretty seamless in our efforts to hold these cheaters in regards to steel to account. We're going to make sure our people get a fair shot every single day, have a fair shot at making sure that they're not cheated against by these other countries, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with our folks.
There it is, Senator Joe Donnelly. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you at 623 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. CertifiedElectrician.com. Union